What's up? Welcome back to What the Podcast. My name is John.
My name is Ryan.
And together we are
Ryan and John.
That's right.
That was a good one.
We're back and this week with no guests. After 2 weeks of guest after guest after guest. People are just dying to get into the studio.
The OG.
And record with us. But we're back, and let me tell you, it feels good to be back with just the core group here.
The crew. Yeah, absolutely. We're just going to jump right into it.
We're going to jump right into it.
No nonsense. Only pod decks.
There you go. Sell it.
That's their motto over at Pod Decks. Pod Decks, in case you're unfamiliar, if this is your first time watching What the Podcast, this is a company that makes interview questions for podcasts. And today's question, what would you do if you were invisible for an entire day?
Whoa.
What would you do?
That is interesting. I think I would just probably plan to go inside of like major companies, like headquarters, like Apple or somewhere cool, you know, where like you just wouldn't normally have access to.
Just get in there and
see how things go. Because and Apple has that massive headquarters building that would be kind of cool to like walk around. Which I don't know if you can go in as a civilian, or as like a normal non-Apple employee, but that's probably what I would do.
Right.
I would just like spend my time trying to go into places like
backstage
headquarters, backstage at Disneyland, like places you just always wondered what it looked like and could never go there. I don't know.
I'd absolutely mess with people. I'd just pick stuff up.
You'd freak them out.
Mean.
I'd mess with Cara is the biggest thing. Yeah.
So mean.
Pick stuff up. What's up?
Would you say that though?
Can I go? I know. Can you hear my voice if I'm invisible? Probably. Yeah.
Yeah, you can hear your voice probably.
You just can't see you.
So I'd call you and be like, "Hey, Cara, what's up?" And then at the same time, be like floating stuff. Be like, where? There's something happening.
But she would also see you though.
Or
she would hear you. She would hear you. Sorry, not see you.
A really solid
I have thought about this.
She would hear you on the phone, and then she would hear you go. Ooh.
What I love about it is how detailed the prank was.
That's right.
I'd call her on the phone, and then I'd start moving stuff, and she'd go.
And she'd be like, "You're on the phone, but it couldn't possibly be you invisible. It's got to be a ghost."
Right. I think Carol would 100% know it was you. Yeah, I was just gonna say.
I'll send a text. Well, we'll work out the details.
What about you guys? Invisible for a day. What's
invisible for an entire day?
Hard to say.
I was gonna say
Do you need to fix your
Disneyland.
I do. I'm sorry.
It's really going on over here.
I don't know how to use it.
It was in my shot, and then you know how I
wow.
wow, that sounded really nice. Let's keep that in for sure.
We're gonna cut that out.
Still not staying.
You're gonna want to like pull your unscrew that thing and.
Oh well.
Because it's too far forward, I think.
This is the kind of content that people subscribe for right here.
What he's saying is this is the kind of content people are subscribing for. Great.
All right.
Yeah, she feels comfortable.
That's good.
I'm comfortable. Thank you.
What would you guys do? Come on, invisible for a day. We don't have all day. But
Yeah, I was gonna say definitely Disneyland.
Really?
Because then you can when you have to wait in like lines, like just get to the front of the line.
Okay, so
But then also,
how would you ride the ride though?
My question is, are you
go
sitting
on a not
someone's
busy
lap?
day.
They would feel you.
Push somebody out of the way, and then the thing goes down.
Like at the last second, they just like throw somebody out.
Oh my gosh.
They do that though.
my
You know,
gosh.
when you see a ride go by and there's no one on it.
No, I'll
that's
just be
for
a
invisible
single
people.
rider, and if there's no one in the single rider line, it's an empty chair anyways. You know.
Whoa!
Wow.
So you would sneak
Hacks.
on. Sneak onto empty chairs on roller coasters in Disneyland. I love that.
Yeah.
I'm not just saying that. That's really great. What about you?
I feel like I would sneak onto like some film set if this is like not COVID times.
That's true.
Well, I guess
Right.
there are still
COVID
film
doesn't
sets.
exist if
Yeah,
you're
yeah.
invisible. Okay.
Okay, good. Yeah.
If I was invisible
Olivia's
for a
worried
day,
about going on the film set with no mask.
wait, can
You're
I still
you're
catch COVID
invisible,
if I'm invisible?
Okay, no. I meant like they're not having films right now.
Oh,
I know.
well.
I guess they are. No, I guess they are.
If I were invisible for a day, I'd go to that Tom Cruise set where he yelled at all those people.
Oh yeah. I'd want to be
Yikes.
there.
I'd see that,
but
yeah.
not actually be there.
I love when celebrities freak out like that. Did you ever hear the Christian Bale recording
No.
where he freaked out on a set photographer and he was like,
Yes.
"We are done
Yes.
professionally."
Yes.
Oh my gosh.
He freaked
Crazy.
out. He
So
was like,
crazy.
he's like, you seem like a nice guy, but we are done professionally. And I took that line, "We're done professionally," and I use it in every moment possible. I'm like,
It's
we're
like
done
in your
professionally.
signature on your emails. Like the last time you're gonna. Really great working with you. We're done professionally. Sincerely.
I think I might also take a flight somewhere, like get on a flight secretly somehow, and then, well,
pretty
invisibly,
easy.
and then I would
Invisibly.
just like not have to pay for one of the ways, like, and then just pay for the flight home.
So you're thinking at an economic perspective.
yeah.
You're
Save
like,
some
that's
money.
one free flight. So if I can scrape
see.
together the money for the return flight.
She's so worried about the money.
Well, you could go one day, you know.
That's what I mean. My
But you
flight
spend your
there,
whole
I'm
day on the
invisible.
plane.
That's fine. I'll do funny antics like
You could,
steal
like,
the
go to-
peanuts or something.
Yeah.
Like,
Just a bit.
Yeah.
Love it.
yeah.
One of the most uncomfortable
plane.
things you could do as a human. Spend 9 hours on an airplane and you're invisible
No, I'd
for the
sit
day.
first class maybe. If there's an open first class seat,
If
I'd
there's a
take
single
it.
rider
Yeah,
on
if I
first
get
class.
lucky.
Oh, wow.
No. Oh, no.
Yikes.
Wow.
I
Thank
love
you,
that.
Poddex,
Sitting
for
on
that
a
one.
flight
Shout out to you, Poddex.
sounds awful. Invisible or not. So
John, what was the last flight you were on?
I was on a flight this weekend.
Oh,
I took Jordan
right.
back to Colorado. I went with her on Friday and then came back Sunday night. And let me tell
I'm
you,
sorry to-
flying
I'm sorry to
during
bring that up.
COVID.
That's-
Oh no, it's
that's
okay. Thanks. You me meant to. I'm just kidding. I start bawling.
Yeah.
No, Jordan doesn't listen to these episodes anyways. So
That's fine.
I actually, if Jordan is listening to this episode, if she listens to this episode by when will it come out? It will come out
Friday.
This Friday?
Friday.
so the 15th.
Yeah.
Today.
If she listens to it
Whoa.
by let's hold on, let's get an actual date because if she actually listens to this, she'll know.
The 15th.
But somebody will text her. Ugh. All right.
yeah.
Anyways, if she genuinely listens to this episode by the 22nd, I will give her $10. I don't think she will though.
So if you are Jordan, comment below, like and subscribe.
Also, if you're watching this and listening to this and you know Jordan,
Don't
you
tell
cannot
her.
break this code. She has to naturally watch the episode. But yeah, it was great. I mean, flying in COVID is the worst. I mean, just because you have to wear it's like logistically it makes sense. You have to wear a mask the whole time. You're, kind of when you're not eating or drinking, but really like you're in a 3-hour flight, you're rarely doing that.
Isn't it
But-
kind of weird? Like you got to stand 6 feet apart, spaced out in the line, getting on the plane.
Yeah.
And then you get on the plane, and it's like still the sardine can. Like,
Well, yeah, and I also on the way back, on the way there, I had like my own row to myself. It was
Sure.
super great. Well, I was with Jordan, so we spaced out and we had the whole row. And then on the way back, it was just me, and the flight was like 110 out of 140 people available, and I was like, oh gosh, it's gonna be rough. And so
kidding.
everyone was doing like the natural, like taking their own row and then doing the space in between everywhere, and then it just kind of came down to the last 10 people, and like there wasn't enough room. So the guy, like this one guy, just like totally was like, guess I'm sitting here, and it was like me and another stranger, and I was like, you're sitting right here in the middle of us. Like there's so many other
Like, that's
split
not gonna
people,
happen,
and they're
bro.
gonna. And he's like, yeah, and it was just rough because I was like, I wanted to work on my laptop, but it was like we're 3 grown men in an air in like a plane row, which is awful, So it was okay though. It's flying. It's also I get like a real fear of COVID when I'm like somewhere like the airport,
Of course.
because it's just it's easy to do this to get COVID in normal life, but then you realize you're in like a metal tube with 100 people that come from all over. And I'm like, I
Absolutely.
kept that mask on the whole time. Like I didn't,
You gotta
I didn't
do it.
eat or drink because I like had brought in a water bottle, but I was like, it's not worth it, especially being so close to my friend here, who was like right next to me the whole time.
jeez.
And I could just tell we were opposites, but anyway, it doesn't matter. He was
We
playing
didn't
like
see eye to eye
he was
on-
playing like a DS, and I was like, we
Playing
are
your Switch or
so
something.
different,
Yeah.
And I was like on my computer
had your
editing this
PSP.
episode, and I was like, and then I had my PSP, and I was like, we're
we
fighting.
don't see eye to eye.
What's good about the flights, I think, is that they filter the air. So like every 2 minutes, it's supposed to be like.
See, I did that original when I first got on. I was like, I opened the air because I thought, okay, air flowing, this is good, right? But then I was like, wait, like I didn't know if
Right.
if air was gonna make it worse.
Right.
Like spreading germs, like air is moving.
It's
so then
blowing it around this big washing machine looking thing.
I just like shut it off, and I was like, I don't know what to do.
When you shut it off, that's when you caught it. For sure.
And then I have COVID. No, I'm just kidding. I don't have COVID. I do not have COVID.
I think they have HEPA filters on the planes. That's what I heard.
Where it's filtering
for
the air.
Alaska Airlines. Yeah. That's
So
Oh,
it's
that's
literally
good.
like throwing away the old air and putting in new air.
Oh, okay. Well, that makes me feel better. I knew that people smarter than me are in charge of these things. So I was like,
The airplanes.
yeah, like the airplane people aren't going to be like, oh yeah, we'll just recycle the air like normal. It's not like there's like global pandemic that's airborne going on around here. But
right.
but traveling in Colorado, I'll tell you right now, they do not mask at all.
Wow.
Like we were in like grocery stores, zero masks, and it was like really weird. And then because I don't really know, like I don't live in Colorado. I never have, so I don't really know. Like I'm kind of learning the area,
The
you know?
regulations, or are you
Yeah.
talking more about like
No regulations. You're
people in
right.
general?
Like I don't know that they have to wear stores a mask. Like I didn't see a lot of signs that said like you have to wear a mask to enter.
Mm-hmm.
But it was just it's weird to be in a space because here in California like it's so strict. You can't even like walk around the neighborhood without a mask.
Well, we're in San Diego, and Los Angeles is 2 hours away, and they're the epicenter of the world right now when it
Yeah.
comes to COVID cases. Not like of California or the U.S., but the entire world. The most cases.
Yeah, and what's so funny is you think about the effects of like COVID, and it affected our lives so much in the last year, as we've talked about on the show. But also, I just right now we're going through a surge or a spike or something like that, and even at my work, like I work on IT at Sharp, and it was like they're pushing all of their IT projects because of the surge, because they're like, all hands on deck is just about like flattening the curve or kind of stopping the thing. And I thought, wow, that's interesting that it's affecting not just our normal day-to-day live things, but also just like things that wouldn't seem to affect like an IT project, and they're pushing all of those or delaying all of that. And then it's just like, it just makes you think how serious it is,
Well, and it's that whole, I don't know what it was. I don't know if we all just like agreed on it together or anything, but it was this feeling of like, oh, the year will end and then it's going to start being okay. Everything's going to like go back to normal. Like the vaccine's going to roll out. It's going to be all good. And it really just happened like, okay, now it's just a new week, It's like,
it's been a weird year. And also even just the start of the year, I feel like I was kind of coming into it, and you can share your thoughts as well. Like I was coming into it really optimistic. I was like, it's going to be a new year. Like we're going to get a hold of this virus. Everything's going to kind of go back to normal as normal can go. And it's just been kind of a really bad start.
send it back, you know, 2021.
I saw those memes.
Let's
like
just
this,
jump right back to the next year.
Yeah. The 7-day, the memes of like, I used my 7-day free trial of 2021. I want a refund. Or I want to cancel my subscription or whatever. I thought that was so true. But
Yep.
yeah, I mean, let's talk about. If you're all right, I'd like to talk about what's been happening in the last week.
Let's do it.
In the beginning, and we should preface this in the beginning of the show. Our intention was to sit down and have a conversation with what's happening in the world right now, almost like a time marker for what's going on. And this last week has been crazy.
Yep. Absolutely.
Not to mention what happened on the 6th of January, which I was trying to remember like that into relation when we recorded last week. And I think it was like the day after. I think we recorded on the 5th and it was like the day after. But, you've seen it in the media, people, Trump supporters or whoever it is, right, stormed the Capitol, shattered the windows, got into the Capitol. And very real things happened. Like a couple people died, and it was like a really dark day. I would say,
Gosh,
in America. And so, when we were talking about prepping for this specific episode, we we're like, do we want to talk about it? Do we not? And I think you felt the same as I did in the sense that we have like an obligation to mention it.
Well, and it would just be silly for us to hop on and
act like it's not happening.
Act like it's not happening.
Right.
Come in and talk about whatever. But that was the weirdest day, just sitting and watching that happen on the news, because it really was just like it started. And I'm just watching TV, whatever, and it's like, oh yeah, and they're gonna start counting these votes, and then it was like a movie. It was like breaking news, like outside the Capitol, there's there's thousands of people outside, like they're standing on the steps, and it literally was like some kind of apocalypse movie. There was like people outside, and oh yeah, they're breaking into the Capitol building, and then it's like, oh, and we're cutting to inside. Here's somebody with iPhone footage. And they're just like cruising around, like just walking around, the Senate or the House section of the Capitol building, which was it this? I don't remember which side it was.
They
think it was
broke
the
into the
Senate.
Senate.
The Senate side.
It couldn't get into the House side, right?
That's right.
They were
And-
like barricaded the doors and like guns drawn on the
Yeah,
House
my
side.
God, and I was
but in the
just
They're
Senate
like
side,
sitting
yeah.
at Nancy Pelosi's desk, like
Oh my
putting their feet up on
gosh.
her desk.
crazy.
Yeah.
It is, and that was so. I mean, yeah, you told your perspective of like kind of just watching TV, and I remember I was at work when it happened, and social media was kind of going off, and that's how I first originally started. And then I think I put it on like on the TV in the background, muted it because I was obviously working, but just like on my break and on my lunch, I was just like kind of glancing over and like watching what was happening. And honestly, it was super scary because it was like stuff like this doesn't happen all the time. And so to have it happen in a time that we can like consciously remember,
Yeah.
it was really weird to see that. And I think there was like after kind of analyzing what was happening, and so like there's a lot there, but I think what generally started it was like our current president Trump, sent off a tweet, or I couldn't, or was it a speech that he was
He had
doing?
a speech first.
He was at a rally.
He's at a rally and
Yeah.
he did a
Which-
speech.
Weird already that he's having rallies still.
Yeah.
Forget about COVID. The fact that he
Was not elected president.
wasn't elected president. He's having this
Still
rally,
having rallies.
and he's like, "Yep, this is still, this election was a big joke, and we're gonna march down Pennsylvania Avenue, and we're gonna, I think
Storm
he
the
said, give him hell or
Capitol.
something like that.
Yeah.
Like,
We're
We're gonna walk to the Capitol. He said something like,
Yeah.
"We're gonna walk to the Capitol."
and people did it, and
and
they,
they're not
they
gonna
went
stand
with
for
it.
this, and that's what kind of caused this, right? And so a lot of people, are going back and forth in the sense that like Trump incited this,
Yeah.
and there was a lot of, I think there was also, it was coupled with a bunch of tweets too of him kind of being like they're stealing this election or whatever, kind of fueled the fire.
Yeah.
I'm sure it was a combination of both if we're being, if we're looking at the facts, but
Absolutely.
it brings up this really interesting discussion that I want to talk about today.
A couple of things come to mind after now, like since we're now recording on the 12th, so this is we're like a week out.
Yeah.
And a lot of things have happened in the fallout, but yeah, please.
Yeah, I think there are a couple of like, kind of veins we can go down as far as topics, and one of them is something that I've been thinking about a lot in the sense that in this election year, social media has played a huge role, and it always does. I think since social media came out, it's played a huge role in the way that it affects our universe, in the sense that when you're trying to get something done or trying to get some sort of cause, social media is always a really cool tool to kind of swing things in your favor or get coverage, right? Has a really lot of positive outputs in the sense that like if you're raising money for a good cause or like that, it's good in that way. But then here are the negative effects of, somebody with a social media can use their words to incite violence. And the question is, who's responsible? I mean, ultimately, the people that broke into the Capitol are the ones that committed the crime, right? They're the ones that broke in and decided to take this kind of situation to the next level. But they were encouraged and maybe incited by Trump's words at his speech or Trump's tweets. And so, and it also just makes you think, I think we'll start there. And like that idea that social media, your word and your language has power. So how, given that we live in America and that the First Amendment? The First Amendment exists,
Freedom of
and that
speech.
the freedom
Yeah.
of speech, and that you are allowed to say what you want. How does that work? It feels like we're discovering a new layer of American, kind of history of like, we live in a world where your words can carry weight and cause tragedies like it did on the 6th, but also you're somehow covered or are you covered under the First Amendment?
And the answer is no. Like, I think we like to play hard and fast with our amendments. Like, oh, I've got the freedom of speech. I can say and do whatever I want.
Yeah.
Or I can say whatever I want. I can post whatever I want. And it's like, well, no. Like that does not cover like inciting violence, like committing a crime. You can't just say like, oh, I'm going to, commit this crime and then expect to not have repercussions from that just because you didn't do it.
Yeah, you're responsible with your influence. 'Cause
Yeah.
that's the reality. Is like if one of us tweeted to storm the Capitol, not much is going to happen there. But if you're the president of the United States
Right.
or some sort of influential celebrity, you can have that power. And so I guess that's the question is, you know, and to what degree, how do we enforce something like that? You know, and because the reality is Trump didn't technically tweet or say, storm the Capitol, break the windows down, like go in there and raise heck or hell, whatever.
But at what line does he have to cross to then go like, oh yeah, no, like direct connection? And I think it's really in the spirit of your message. Like if you're, I don't know, you know, because it's exactly what you're saying, like with social media and with the grand, you know, like this new invention that has really changed our entire world. Like you've said, it's like, what was it? I lost my train of thought. Sorry.
I was going to say, I feel like John kind of had a point when he said that Donald Trump isn't like us. You know, like he's the president of the United States. So there are things like he has such a role of power in this country. And over the last 4 years, he's exercised that power. And so now he's at a point where he has literal followers who are dedicated to everything that he's saying and doing. And so it's like, as the president of the United States, is it appropriate for the president to have social media? Like the fact that that hasn't even been like really like addressed, the fact that our president has been tweeting from the White House. It's like, why now he is able to say and do whatever he wants on such a wide scale. It's like, he, even towards the beginning of his presidency, when he was talking about like things that are happening behind closed doors that are, you know, like tweeting about different relations with different countries and like just like different things that it's like, why is that appropriate for that to be on social media?
That's what I was going to say. I remembered by track. So when the amendments were written, you know, in the 1780s, it's like, okay, this
1780s, I love
1780s,
The 80s.
back in the 80s.
Yeah, 1780s, man.
Yeah,
Music was at an all-time high.
yeah, big for a new wave. This idea of the freedom of speech didn't really like they couldn't grasp the fact that someday like an individual could have such a wider scope, like an instant scope, like, you know, such a big group that they could send their message out to instantly. Like at any time, Trump's train of thought can just go out, you know, whatever he's thinking of that day, like, oh, I just had a, you know, we should totally just, if I'm feeling, you know, in a negative way, like I'm in a bad place, I could just tweet out, everyone should just go downtown and just wreck stuff. We should just like mess things up, you know, break all the buildings. Like at any time, anyone can do that now, and it'll reach potentially millions of people because you have, you know, followers like that. So what is our, you know, what's our duty like as people, like what
can we do, right? What's legislation can we logistically pass? And you're right. I mean, the problem is like the president is the highest, like it's the number one seat, you know? And so it's like a position that's never viewed as having like very much limitations. Now, of course, Trump can't like go. I mean, well, he can make executive orders, but I'm saying like you can't like just do whatever you want. It's within reason, of course. Yeah. But when it comes to communication, it's like it's a weird thing, right? Because part of it's like he's the number one guy, so you would hope that he's competent enough to make the right decisions in his communications. You know, like you would hope that that whoever's in that number one top dog seat would rely on the people around him, like past presidents have, to like, hey, I'm about to say this, or I'm about to give this speech. Like, what do you think? And as we all know, there's no secret. A lot of politicians have writers. They write those speeches, and a lot of the actual words that these politicians are saying aren't necessarily their own. Like they're crafted by a team, which is smart because when you live in a world of
the team
like,
was hired by the president, so in theory, it is kind of coming from, you know, this school of thought, whatever it is, like the presidency.
Yeah.
But you know, now these social media platforms are taking it upon themselves to,
I was just going to move there.
Yeah. Like take his message down. And so, and the response to that, and to some degree has been like, oh, you're, you know, suppressing his free speech. This is his First Amendment. He can go and say whatever he wants because of free speech. But it's like,
he's encouraging white supremacy, you know, sparking literal hate crimes.
And the other side of that is these are private companies.
Right.
Twitter and Facebook any day of the week can take down any post they want because it doesn't align with their views. So it was never like,
it's not a breach of, you know,
it's technically not
legally, because
you
agree to be on
the
Twitter.
terms. They have the ability.
But
they reserve the right.
and that's what's crazy is we the people
We the
have
people.
taken this platform that is just, like we said, this brand new invention, and we think that it's like, yeah, okay, this is free speech. Like, this is my way to say whatever I want and reach people, when it's like, in theory it is, but it's really not.
You also signed a contract when you signed
Yeah,
up.
you're
Sure, the
using
terms
free
of
services.
conditions.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's just.
What do you think about that? Taking down.
Yeah, as far as
Posts.
like it was actually you took the segue right out of my hands, and I love it. I'm glad you did great. In the sense that like now.
I'm
What's
learning.
coming out now is like Trump is banned from all platforms, or at least temporarily in some, and permanently banned on Twitter. I read today he's permanently banned on Twitter, and so these platforms are again taking their authority and applying it to where they feel it's necessary, right? Because of the after effects of what happened on the 6th. And to me, it's like a lot of people would say, at a very surface, like, very specific, like this instance level, that's the smart thing to do. And for Trump, I agree it is. I mean, Trump is kind of has
Right.
always been a hazard on
Let me
social
just
media.
say, like, if they did this last week and it could have saved 5 people from getting unnecessarily killed,
Yeah.
by all means do it. Like
100%.
That should always, like, human life should be the first thing on our, our
I
importance
agree.
level, or it should be.
So, and in this instance, I agree. Trump is kind of a hazard in that sense. But if you look at the idea of removing and banning somebody completely from a platform that he built Trump, whether you're good or bad, he did build a reputation. He built a company or whatever, right? Whatever have you. He became a public person, right? He became a local, like a public, national, worldwide celebrity. I was looking for the word and I found it. And,
Worldwide celebrity.
worldwide celebrity. And so, like, to some degree, not Trump. Again, if you look at anybody else, somebody who has a platform like that has built a name for themselves. And then now these social media companies, they're doing everything in their legal bounds to ban him. It's just so part of me is like the foundation of it is scary.
The precedent that it sets, because Donald Trump will fall away. People like him will be around forever,
Yeah.
But like, people that put themselves in power or whatever, those will always be there. But, Trump will fall away. The precedent that it sets is twofold. One, we've established that people look to Twitter and Facebook and social media as their source of truth.
Yeah.
In a lot of ways. And
Yeah.
then at any time your post can be taken down. So it's twofold. So
Scary to me. I don't know. I mean, like I said, the foundation of it is scary in the sense that, like, again, if you take the situation out of that happened at the Capitol and the fact that Trump, I mean, again, I agree Trump needs to
right.
be
I think it
censored.
was the call this time.
But
Yeah.
absolutely.
for sure. But in the sense that, like, imagine if you were fighting for something legitimate and you wanted to, like, you had built this kind of influence in this platform, and then the social media tech companies decide he's too dangerous. He's risking, like, changing, the way people think, or in a positive way, what you believe, right? And the social media companies decide to block you and, like, completely mute you. I mean, that's essentially what they've done to Trump. And, like, again, in this situation, completely agree.
Right.
But I'm saying if we're talking about people, if we're trying to set things right in the world, this was obviously setting things wrong. But
And I guess it's really just shame on us for putting so much emphasis on it, and shame on the tech companies for, like, making us believe that, like, I don't know, like, their platform is law.
I think it's important to recognize the fact that Donald Trump was receiving so much support from his community on Twitter. They were looking to him on Twitter to see where he's at, what he's doing, following it so intently. Nothing is stopping Donald Trump from going on the internet, starting a blog. He can do other outlets.
Sure.
It's just on Twitter.
Yeah.
Here,
And Facebook and Instagram and Pinterest, and now all the ones
And
that
then
are
I think
jumping on board.
Sure.
Sorry,
the only media that has, like, the like truth checker is Facebook and Instagram. They now
Fact
have
checker.
something, the fact checker. Yeah, it's like if you post
where
something
it'll
in the
pop
news,
up and, like, oh, this is
false news.
and that bugs me too.
And even that, like,
Well, right. But if we're talking about Donald Trump specifically, it's like you can't. I don't know if you can separate it from what happened at the Capitol. Like, I don't know if you can, because of the amount of damage and the amount of time that he is still going to be in office and what he could potentially still
It's
do.
true.
It's like you can't. like that is inherently connected to him getting banned.
So there'll have to be something. There'll have to be a middle ground situation
Right.
that can really kind of spark this conversation. Because
Yeah.
what
Right.
you're saying is what happened with Trump is so extreme. The actions taken were justified, and we really haven't seen or at least heard of a situation where somebody was trying to make change in whatever way they thought, non-violently, of course, and within the bounds of
we've never
laws,
had a president on Twitter to this level. It's
And
never been
so
never
that's-
been done.
That brings it back to what I was saying before. It's like, how has this not happened sooner in his presidency? This isn't the first time Donald Trump has sparked such, like horrible repercussions from his tweets. So it's like, why wasn't he taken off 2 years ago, 3 years ago?
Right.
Like, why is it just now? And I wonder if it's because Twitter feels like, well, all eyes are on us. Now we have this obligation. Now in order to please the public,
Right.
we will do this.
It could also be because there were deaths involved in this one.
Yeah, this is a pretty
specifically.
major one, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. It's like something like breaking into the Capitol. They were saying it hasn't happened in like 300 years.
Yeah.
Like to have violence even somewhere near the Capitol. And so I think they knew something had to be done. And that's why I'm not surprised that they took him off. But again, and what like we had referenced too is, whenever you posted it, if I saw anybody post about the election this season, it was like prefaced with like, this is not actual, election results or material or whatever. And it was like, I remember the days when social media was just like, you took it with a grain of salt. Like somebody would post something and you just had the forethought as a human to be like, sure, somebody posted this, but that doesn't mean it's real, you know? But like, what point do we cross over where social media feels like they need to step in and be like, and remind us to some degree that because somebody posted about it doesn't mean it's actually real, And
When that pops up, you think about like, are these like platforms, are they just like virtue signaling at some point?
Right.
When
Yeah.
this pops up at the bottom of Trump's tweet and it says, hey, this is not confirmed, I guess they are taking that, like making that happen because it's the president.
Yeah.
Because, I
taking away
posted-
some of that
I've-
power, maybe.
Right. And you can jump on right now and 500 of your friends will be posting something that might not necessarily be true.
Right.
Yeah.
But they're not getting the little ticker tape at the bottom that says like, hey, this has not been confirmed by news sources.
Yeah, I mean, he is the president of the United States.
That's what I mean. So they're putting in features to their platform that only apply to the president, really.
Because of his position of power.
Right.
And I mean, there are also very powerful people in the world, celebrities that people look to and listen to, and their speech can be damaging and have horrible repercussions, and those aren't getting checked. And it's happening every single day on Twitter. But I think part of it is because of Donald Trump is the president of the United States. It's like, if we're going to start somewhere, like that's where you go to. And I don't know if it's going to go past that because of the conversation of, well, why are you doing it? And is it like, now are you filtering what people are saying? Like now is it, I think it crosses a line, but with Donald Trump, I don't think it crosses a line.
I outside of the Donald Trump thing, I think it's just that's what scares me about it is like I get what they're doing here, and I think it's justified with Trump to some degree in the sense that like he did cause a lot of all that happened on the Capitol, and that was awful. But I think inherently social media companies have been taking sides. There's no doubt about it. I mean, Facebook and Twitter, and when I say Facebook, it's Instagram. They're synonymous. They're inherently like Democratic or on the liberal side. And that's what's scary is like social media, and it really, whose fault it is? It's our generation. Like our generation has believed so much of what happens on social media that like now these social media companies can sway an election. I mean, I'm not saying that they did or did not in the last election because it doesn't really matter.
The big question, right? It's like in 2016.
It can sway, right? And if you watch that documentary I mentioned a couple episodes back, The Great Hack, it is insane. I mean, they ran like the Trump campaign ran like something like 1.5 million ads, and they were all targeted per user. Like you were categorized as a user based off of what they could access, and they knew exactly what type of ads to market specifically your type of user to get you to sway to the other side, And I'm not saying, I mean, again, who knows, but the reality is like social media has become something out of out of our comprehension, you know, and that's what's the part is, and the great hack and the great hack it talks about too is like, you start to wonder whether what you're thinking is your original thought or if it's been engineered by the stuff you see on their feed.
You see that Inception movie?
Yeah.
It's like that.
And crazy. It's so crazy to me.
No.
You know, so that's the part. The
Sleepwalking.
hard part is like when the social media company, I don't know, something about the foundation of them blocking Trump. And again, I it's justified, but the foundational decision of like blocking somebody from using your platforms, because they feel, and again, it's kind of a universal feeling with Trump, but the social medias ultimately have
Depends
the power.
on who you ask still, though.
Seriously.
I
mean.
And they
Right.
feel like he's more of a hazard to have communication than not. And to me, that's a really terrifying feeling because that's, you know, that we get into, this is our world now. You know, the people who have the loudest voice, who have the most following, they dictate things. They go way further than just our normal lives. And so, and really, if we're being honest, social media is probably how Trump got elected to begin with, you know? And so it's just like the give and take, and it's just, it's terrifying. And I think also there's something to be said about social media's power. Like I said, these little weird things of like, this is not real data. It's like, of course it's not real data. You know, like Jeff from high school doesn't know what he's talking about. Like I know that, you know, like I don't need a pop-up.
A little ticker tape.
But and in my head, it feels like a dig, almost like, you know, whatever this person is saying is it might be more conservative. And so the platform, I think the platform to some degree was targeting more conservative posts because to the platform, it wasn't correct information. But the reality is everything you post on social media has the potential to be incorrect.
Right.
So why are we in this instance, like, it doesn't matter. Like, the fact that these people, like, let's just say Trump supporters, all whatever amount of them, all posted that Trump won. That doesn't change the election. The votes get counted, and the election is the election. You know. So what's the point of putting that little like warning on all of their tweets and all their posts and saying this isn't real data? Because the reality is, like, the votes are going to be counted, and the news is going to,
and then. But that's kind of the thing, right? Trump gets on every day after the election and goes, no, this was rigged. This is all a big sham. And his followers go, oh, maybe it is. Like, oh, we're not investigating this. Well, if he says, I mean, he's the president of this country.
Yeah.
Maybe, why isn't there an investigation getting launched right now? If there was a shadow of a doubt. Now, was there a shadow of a doubt? I don't think so. Not from what I've read.
There was investigations done too. I mean,
And that's not even like a hot take. Yeah, there were investigations done. Like, they couldn't find any
Multiple recounts.
Yeah. What do they count the votes in Georgia? Like four
3
times or something like that?
one
Yeah.
by hand or something like that.
Yeah. Crazy.
So that's what I'm saying.
And
Like,
still,
the
so
evidence,
he jumps on the platform and every day goes, okay, you know, this is messed up. There's something wrong going on here. And it comes to the 6th, January 4th or 5th, whatever the rally was. And he says, you know what? Like, this has gotten out of hand. We're going to go down there and we're going to demand justice.
But I
then
wonder,
it mobilizes a coup.
Yeah, legit.
So if we're just talking about like fact checking on Facebook and stuff, like I wonder if Trump supporters let's just say the Trump supporters who stormed the Capitol, I don't think they're looking to Facebook to tell them whether or not Donald Trump is telling the truth. I think it's for them at this point, Donald Trump's opinions and views align with them so much that they will listen to anything that he says. So when it comes
out of his mouth and it is truth.
Yes, they believe it is true
in one's head.
Yes.
In the head of the guy that was dressed like a Viking that was at the Congress.
Exactly.
Or
Yes.
the Capitol building.
Yikes.
So if you're talking about those people, like, I don't know if Facebook saying fact checking is going to make a difference for those people.
Right.
I don't think, because Donald Trump promotes so much distrust in every other, organization.
Yeah.
The government itself, like, he's saying, don't trust the count, don't trust, when it's a literal government
These
process,
are like
how he got
stilts
elected.
that our country is built on,
Right.
like our election process,
Right.
And he's now going, no, this is fake, like,
Right.
That's not true.
Calling Georgia and saying like, oh, find some votes for me.
Oh, did you hear that audio?
Ooh,
that
yeah,
was
it's not good press
crazy.
for him.
He's
I think that's what's
I
so
need
crazy
you to
about-
find 11,000 votes for me. Can you do that for me? Can you just go
There's
find?
I
no
can
doubt in
try.
my mind that like Trump lost the election, and that's just the reality. It's like and the idea that like Now, like I'll be honest with my political like affiliation. I'm
Sure.
not super stoked about Biden.
No,
like,
yeah.
personally not.
For sure.
But like the reality is, Trump losing isn't like instilling fear in me. And I don't
Sure.
think Trump. I think Trump winning would instill more fear in me. You know. But I'm saying like, so I think I know that the pendulum swings, and like it'll always is supposed to balance itself out. And I know that reality is like some years it's what you want, some years it's not what you want. And but the reality is like the dial never really moves that far. You know,
Sure.
like you know, stuff will happen, and Biden will do in what he's in with what he wants to do as far as policies and procedures, and I think some of it will be good, and some of them I'll be like, whatever, it is what it is. But I think the problem with me is like social media used to be a neutral zone. You know, like it used to be like people could post their thoughts and their feelings, and there was no interference between the company side, like the Facebook admin side. There wasn't like,
because it was the Wild West, like when it was first created, like there was no law, and now we're kind of getting like it's exactly what you're saying, like people posting their opinions, and then that was it. Like, here's my opinion, and everyone can see it on Facebook or Twitter. And now it's like getting to a point where so someone with power and with fame, you know, like President Donald Trump, can hop on and say something like, you know, in the country's, you know what I'm getting, what I'm getting at, like it's something that affects the entire country because he's the president, not just because like, oh, it's Donald Trump. Like that dude's the you know, chief of what's it called, chief of state, whatever it is. He's in charge of the armies, you know.
Oh,
Commander in chief.
Like master.
Wow, I'm a great American.
I'm canceled.
Honestly, cancel us.
Wow.
We have no political. We have no reason to be talking about
it
this. I will say this podcast went from 0 to 100 real quick.
I know,
because and you know, this is the world we live in. Like you're saying, like my whole point, what I was getting at, like social media has now become like people are trying to make it more of a thing. Yeah. Like, oh, this is where I look for my political ideals and my, you know, my source of truth or like news or
yeah, and news travels faster on Twitter than it does on actual news.
Yeah.
Like and that's, I mean, you talk about natural disasters, things outside of political stuff, like stuff just gets around faster on these social medias. But yeah, I think again, it's not necessarily, for me, it's not necessarily, you know, this instance, I think they made the right decision, but I don't know. I'm weary about social media having more reach and having more like, and kind of stepping in a little bit more. I'll be honest. I really enjoyed social media when it was the Wild West, when I knew, when I believed what I believed based off of what I read, you know? And because I see those little like underliers of like, this is not real you know, this is not real poll data. It's like, it doesn't bother me, but like part of me is like, there are people out there like, you know, that just, they don't know any better. They're super impressionable, and they're like those impressionable people. These social media companies are now, I feel like, by doing this quote unquote fact checking or or going off of what they believe is correct information, which the reality is news networks have been doing that for centuries, you know.
Absolutely.
Like news networks have their own political ideology, and they write stories and they do all that stuff, you know, toward what they believe. But social media used to be like this free kind of experience, and now I'm feeling like it's more, you're on it, you can tell what side you're on when you're on Facebook or when you're on Twitter, and it's like, part of me, it's just frustrating. It's sad because it used to be like a very open commentary, like have a space to have conversation, and now, because ever since election, and this is the last conversation we'll have about the election, because I am so done with politics. As a side note, like this election season,
you heard it here first,
has
folks. Episode
been
8,
rough. You know, well, I don't know, how has it been for you? I mean, I feel like I've been, every day I'm looking at social media and I'm looking at the news, and I'm like, I just don't want to hear about it anymore.
It's exactly what you're saying, like you know, and my biggest takeaway from all that is like, it's like lobbyists got a hold of it. Like, because it's what you're saying. Like, any company now that is supporting Facebook financially could go, okay, like Facebook, you know, hey, why don't you say this is actually true? You put some money forward and, you know, do whatever. It's like,
they've monetized speech, and that's what's so frustrating.
That's what it is.
It's like,
monetized
you
speech.
can buy space in people's phones and people's heads and people's minds by having enough money.
I guess it's always been there, right? Like, TV was the same way, like this groundbreaking technology. Now you're reaching people in their homes on this box.
Well, now you have but yeah, that's true. It always, to some degree, it's always been that way. But I feel like it's so invasive with social media.
Oh yeah, because now it's right in your pocket. It's 24/7. The 24/7 news cycle. Like you're always getting updates. You're always.
And social media used to be like a very fun, like, you posted life updates, and like you like got to see what people are doing, and like people got engaged and people got married, and it was like, and now for 1 year out of every 4 years, it's just like impacted with all this political, like, this is what you should do, this is what you should vote.
Wondering if it's to like, a lot of it is to do with our age, because I wonder if I went onto like a 14-year-old's Facebook right now, if they see any of that, because when I was 14, I wasn't friends with like my parents' friends on Facebook. I was only friends with the people I went to school with, and then I'm wondering if that's a big age thing too.
I think it's changing though.
Yeah.
I think kids are more focused on politics because of social media.
Which that would be my one positive takeaway, I think, from social media, is that I feel like, at least in my life, there's been more awareness to things that are outside of my bubble, like things that I don't encounter on a daily basis. And just like, I think that has caused me to educate myself elsewhere outside of social media more, where it's like bringing, like, even just the power that social media has in the Black Lives Matter movement, how much that has, been a source of information for me, where I've just been more aware to, just different things that have happened in our country. And it's like, now I can take that information that I'm getting on social media from people who are posting, and different petitions and different things that I'm now becoming aware of. That has helped me tremendously, because then now I can go out and buy books and follow different people, listen to podcasts, stuff like that, where it's like, I don't know, without social media, like in my own bubble, like, would I still have access to that?
The accessibility. Yeah. So I guess it does go both ways.
Right.
It's like, it's your entire circle, all of the information is like concentrated.
It's a blessing and a curse.
You can get it all, and you can get all of the crap too.
And this is also, I think, like a new talking point in like the parenting realm of like, social media is such a conversation of like, what age do you let your kids have social media? And really the sole reason is like, they're going to see information when it comes to politics on social media. So it's like, what age do you want to concern your kids with what's going on in the world? Because that's the reality. When you get on social media, it causes a certain level of anxiety and stress of what's going on in the world, whether it be like a natural disaster or something that like what happened on the 6th. You're letting them access like a wealth of knowledge that can be both like beneficial and detrimental at the same time sometimes,
Well, and I think what's the crazy part is, like, kids are some of the biggest consumers for these companies. Like, they're targeting young,
I think
kids and teens.
I think that's a split too. Like, if we're talking about politics, or if we're talking about like companies, because I've seen like just the development since Instagram has started of, now suddenly there's ads. Now suddenly there's customized ads depending on what you're talking about, what you're looking up. It's like, it's so personal, and so like, it's just so specific to each and every person that has an Instagram account. And I think that's what's been a bummer to watch, I think, is just like how companies have taken advantage of it, and how they're targeting kids. And I think that is scary.
The more I know about social media, the less I actually want to have it.
Yep.
It's just becoming a tool and a resource, not for companies and for political gain. It's like, when it started at its core essence, it was about like connecting people. And now it's turned into like the biggest divider. You know how many posts I saw in the last week of people saying, like, if you ever even voted for Trump, I don't care if it was in 2016 or now, unfriend me.
Yes, I've seen so many.
That is like, that statement alone is so scary. It's sad.
Yeah.
And
you think about like what, it comes back to the same thing. Like, what is your intention of using these devices? Like, do you want to log on and just be in the echo chamber. Everyone that I'm friends with is has the same message as me, has the same opinion as me.
Absolutely.
Does the same stuff, buys the same things.
Right.
Or are you using it as a person that wants to, see what's out there, learn more, see.
Yeah, even just if you are limiting yourself to what you I completely understand the emotional and physical toll of seeing posts about Donald
Negativity
Trump
every single day,
and how he's being successful and all these different things of how he's succeeding and taking advantage of our country. I think that is a lot. However, if you disconnect yourself from one side of the spectrum and do not even hear what they're saying, it's how can you protect yourself or even move through this country as an individual without knowing what's going on in the world?
Yeah.
You need to be aware of if you are liberal, you need to be aware of what conservative people are saying, because how can you make decisions? How can you vote without understanding what's going on?
What's at stake, too.
Yeah, you just need to know what's happening. It's you can't disconnect. I understand taking a break.
It's you're that chance to talk to somebody, and this kind of comes back to we're Christians, and this is an inherently Christian thing of we want to talk to people about Jesus, and we want to share Jesus's message and everything.
Yeah.
And for some reason, just like everything else in 2020, 2021, we'll call it the 2020s.
The 2020s, yeah. I'm sure the rest of them will be just
this year. The rest of this year will be fine. You are blocking yourself by, if I block someone else on Facebook because they don't share the same beliefs as me, you're blocking yourself from making that connection, having that conversation. If you start off by, saying we're divided, we're different people, then it's you're destined to fail. But if you are trying to have that conversation with people, if you are eventually trying to evangelize to somebody, you are, you start by getting in their headspace. Hey, I want to connect with you as a person. Let's talk about this. Why do you have these beliefs? What is your opinion on this?
And I think that helps you too to understand if you have blind spots in your beliefs. If you're if you're not ever talking to anybody else about what you believe or your political views, it's maybe you're never actually truly questioning why you believe what you believe. Maybe you don't know why suddenly you're voting for this prop.
Yeah.
It's have
and you're
a
only
conversation.
believing it because one person, you grew up that way.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Because
totally.
of your small circle
bubble.
of people. Yeah. I was reading this thing that was if you can't, I don't even remember what it was on. It was a comment or a article or something. But it was if you can't explain the opposing idea and make an argument for the opposing side of your belief, you don't understand your own belief enough. If you can't put yourself in the headspace of the other person, how could you possibly try and get them to understand what you are saying?
And isn't that anything with life?
That's life, dude.
Yeah.
Right there.
I agree with all that. I think there's been many times in the last, I'll say year, be conservative. And
still the
in the last year that I have almost unfriended people and almost just thought this isn't beneficial to me, blah, blah, blah. And then I do that exact same thing you explained. I'm if I close out all the people that don't think like me, I'm going to be surrounding myself with like-minded people. And that is almost scarier than the social media censoring me.
You're stopping yourself.
Right.
You now can hop on and you're everybody thinks like me. Everybody's got the same opinion.
Yeah. Then you're even more shocked when you see people, acting out or doing different things. You're wait, where did that come from?
How
it's
could anyone
beneficial.
possibly think that?
And that's also why I get I'm not mad or frustrated. I get sad when I see people post unfriend me if you've ever voted for Trump, because that's not what this is about. This is about we're coming together and listen. There isn't. I don't think I know any people in my specific circle of friends and connections that truly believe Trump's the best, but I think there is benefit to have conversation and to talk about it, because if we're not talking about it, that's when things start to slip. And that's the reality of, that's what makes this country so great, is that we have different viewpoints, and we have conversations, and sometimes it shifts one way and sometimes it shifts the other, but at the end of the day, we're all Americans, and sometimes that's a hard statement to make. especially in the last week. But, I hope by the end of my own life, I can say like, okay, I've seen it go one way and I've seen it go the other. But the reality is like, we're going to wake up tomorrow. And really what, like, as you said, as you referenced too, like our mission as Christians is, to reach people.
It's an inherently different one too, because that's so
nothing like
you're
America.
right on the, like, our country is at a point where it's so, and I blame a lot of this on the two-party system, but we'll get past that. The point is, we are a divided country. Like it's clear,
Yes.
like we're there. The fact that the margins were so close between Joe Biden and Donald Trump are like, there are, 1 out of every 2 people disagrees.
Yeah.
Just straight up,
100%.
And like you said, like our mission as believers is to not pick that side because, Jesus literally didn't pick a side.
I agree. I 100% agree. And I think that's the sad part too about all this too. And what happened last week to like kind of to sum it all up is like, it's so evident, and we like as Christians we know we live in a broken world, but it was just so evident in the last week that we do, and so sometimes it feels like when life's going well, you're like, oh, it isn't so bad to live in this world, and then there are weeks like last week, and you're like, oh man, it's so evident that we're all broken people, and like. And and I would say a lot of those people that made the decision to break in the Congress, they probably need Jesus. So,
I want to clarify too what Ryan said. So you said Jesus didn't pick a side. What does that mean to you?
Oh, sure. Well, let's go there.
Because
so when Jesus came to earth, it would, or I should specify, living in Israel, conducting his ministry, the Israelites, the Hebrews were in a similar position. They were like, it was such a like hotbed political, like they were being oppressed by the Roman Empire. So there, he sat with tax collectors who worked for the Roman Empire. He sat with, people that were scorned. He sat with all these different people. And it's like, the Hebrews believed that he was going to come back as this like valiant like warlord. He was going to fight off the Romans. He was going to take back the motherland, and he didn't the way they wanted him to. So I guess in that way he didn't pick a side is what I was getting at. Right. He didn't come and was like, this is what's wrong, like go against the Romans because they're infringing on your rights as Hebrews. This is your land. Like that's kind of what I was getting at.
Yeah. Like not necessarily taking the back seat and saying, okay, this is all happening, let's just move on.
No,
it's
absolutely.
more in the vein of speaking up for what is right and what is wrong, but also not taking human value away.
Absolutely.
Never counting people out or throwing them aside as if they don't have their own thoughts and their own feelings.
Keeping the
and
conversations
emotions
alive on both sides.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wow, guys.
Wow.
That has got to be our most intense topic.
Well,
it's going to be hard to pick clips from this one.
Oh, gosh.
Yeah. Oh my God.
The one upside of social media now is funny video.
Oh, that's right.
A perfect transition.
What a transition.
Whenever we get too overwhelmed with political stuff,
you got to just watch those videos.
You got to go to YouTube and find the
TikTok.
I will say,
TikToks.
as you're preparing that, something like kind of in a similar vein, the power of people posting. Do you know what Dogecoin is?
Oh my gosh.
You're familiar with Bitcoin, right?
Yeah, I know what Bitcoin
Cryptocurrency. It's money that's technically not real. So there's this thing that they made as a joke called Dogecoin.
Okay.
And you're familiar with the Doge meme where it's like a Shiba, but he's like just adorable. Anyways, the point is they made this cryptocurrency, and Elon Musk, founder of Tesla and all those companies, just tweeted out the single word Dogecoin.
Oh my gosh.
And since that day, stocks have skyrocketed for Dogecoin.
Isn't Elon like in competition with
Bezos.
Bezos to become the first billionaire or something?
He was number one richest person in the world 2 days ago, I want to say, and then yesterday Jeff Bezos went ahead because Elon's like stocks like
Tesla
went down.
took a turn yesterday, which hurt.
Yep.
So Elon,
Okay,
Elon was
Ryan.
the richest man for like a hot second.
for
For a
like
day.
a week. Yeah,
Oh, wow.
something like
Dude,
that.
oh my gosh, it's so sad.
Yeah.
At that level though, you're like, come
Poor
on.
guy. That
Really?
sucks.
He's
Can't
so
believe-
suffering.
He's
And
struggling.
the difference was he lost like
That's
$14 billion
horrible.
in a day
Yeah.
or something, which
Oh
is
my
nothing for these
gosh.
guys. That's like barely,
Well,
neck
that's
and
what I'm
neck.
saying.
Honest,
is like,
I don't care. I
Yeah.
don't care.
would you? Hey, I have a question for
Yeah,
you.
give it
Would
to me.
you would you want to be the richest
No.
person in the world?
Definitely not.
That does not sound fun to
No,
me at all.
no. I would like some money.
Yeah, like not
What
the
are we all?
richest. You know, come on.
John,
Number one. Well,
If you're looking to sponsor this podcast,
Pod
Bill
decks.
Gates apparently is on this crusade where he's going to give away all of his money by the time he dies.
Oh,
like
that's good.
he gives so much to charity every year. So
Warren
I think
Buffett
I would just
did that too, didn't he?
Yeah, like same
Yeah,
thing.
Warren Buffett didn't give any of his children like cuts of his money, right?
Is that?
I thought that was
he's
Warren
still
Buffett.
alive, right?
Yeah,
No,
he's
but
still
like
alive.
I don't think he doesn't support them financially.
Right.
Like
they're all their own people.
he's not like funding their business projects or
Oh
whatever.
my gosh, come on.
I'd be so pissed.
I'd be like, Dad, come on.
Because
Gimme.
he knows what it
Give
feels
me,
like
Dad.
to earn his own money.
Oh gosh, Warren Buffett's one of those guys. Build your own company.
Okay,
Come
hey,
on.
let's watch some funny
Yeah,
internet
sorry.
videos.
Transition.
Can you sing a song or something, Ryan, as I transition?
If you only had your keyboard.
Yeah, Ryan.
So podcast.
The keyboard's coming back next week.
This is this is
wow.
Ryan and John react. Bow.
That was fun. Okay,
I'll put on music.
I'm
for
gonna
that.
go ahead and John is going to put these videos, if you're watching YouTube, where you can see them because you won't be able to see them.
You can kind of see him
Okay, good.
from
This
the
video's
wide shot.
I'm just now seeing the username
The setup here?
is butt cheek, but spelled with a V instead of a U. I don't know if that's important.
Let's see if the audio
It's
works.
a
Yeah,
video
let's
by
check
butt
the audio.
cheek. Okay.
Oh,
is it
no.
working? Oh no.
Pause.
I think it is.
Wait a minute.
I don't think it is.
No, it's not.
Nope. External headphones.
Okay.
There it is.
Freaking
It's
had it.
happening. Yeah,
Every
you can hear
time.
this
Good thing I'm
out.
here, huh?
The
Hit
audio
it.
is essential for this video. Oh, there we go.
Okay. It's a man with a pipe here. He's.
Okay.
Oh, no.
Oh my gosh.
That's not real. That can't be real. I'm really
There
curious.
is no way that's real. There is.
Let's
Well,
watch it again.
reverb, but wait,
Let's
hold on.
watch it again.
Let me get the full.
It's not real. Here's why. Because there's noise that happens while he's walking over that does not match up.
Yeah.
But it's still really funny.
I think we should every week just look at social media and we'll be the ones to be like, yeah, that's real. No, that's not real. And we'll
you
put our
should.
own ticker
You're
tape.
Fact or fiction.
Like, yeah. Fact or fiction, but just for
Video
posts
edition.
of people we know. Yeah, okay.
Without any
Good.
research.
I would love to watch funny videos.
That is fact.
right,
gosh.
I'll just-
I'm scared.
off to a good
Okay,
start.
I just want to say this one's not meant to make you laugh. This one actually scared
This dog
me.
looks like a human.
Really? I don't like this.
Does your dog have normal eyes, or does your dog have strangely human eyes that make you think he's trapped the soul of a human person inside of his body?
Yeah.
I
My
think about
dog
this
has
video
It's
once
so
a day.
unsettling.
That is freaky.
Oh my god.
Oh man.
Oh god.
Your dog has human eyes or a dog?
No,
eyes?
my dog has dog eyes. My dog has Miles has like a very blank stare. It's so hard to read. Like no emotions. I have a whole theory. I'll
That's
sometime
another
we'll talk
podcast.
about it.
Yeah.
That's another podcast.
Yeah, I don't want to do
Yeah,
that.
please.
Another
though.
Ooh, okay.
Here we go. It's Cat.
Do you ever look at someone and wonder what is going on inside their head?
Ew.
What is going on?
Is he okay?
That is terrifying. That was the most terrifying thing I've ever seen.
That cat like leaned so hard, like
It was giving you such a weird look. I don't like that at all.
I'm so scared.
What's with the
Are
weird
these
animals,
like
huh?
John and Ryan react to scary Halloween videos?
Oh, this one.
Okay, hit it.
Or-
We've seen this a million times.
Yeah. Wow.
You know what?
all I
I want
got.
to talk about that for a second because who do you think gave that direction for Zach to do that? And also, where's the original audio? Like what?
As a big fan of the High School Musical series, I doubt there was a director on set for like 80% of those freaking movies.
Kenny Ortega took a day off.
Go ahead.
He's like, I'm just, I don't know, pretend like you're on a date. And Zac Efron's like, okay.
Zac Efron, who's never been on a date probably in real life.
Probably never
because
sat down on a golf course before.
He's been acting since what? He was like 10. I don't know.
Has he?
I don't know. Let me
I thought
check.
his
I'll
first
fact
thing
check
was
that.
Fact check
fact
that
or
for
fiction,
us.
not for us. real quick.
Definitely a fact check.
Fact or fiction.
Wow.
That was great. You know what? Honestly,
gosh.
we'd end our episodes with those because
I
that was
know,
great.
Funny in
know.
that video.
Yeah.
I'll tell you, I've been watching. What's kind of spurred this segment is at work. You know, on breaks and lunches, I watch videos that are titled "instant regret" videos.
Oh no.
They are so funny. Oh my gosh! I'm going to pull a couple videos of my own to show you guys next week. But it's
call.
always like just like the things that you always wish were caught on camera. And they're hilarious. And I also watch Karen freakouts. I'm a huge Karen freakout guy. Especially
freakouts.
this whole mask thing has started a new genre of Karens.
Karens. Yep.
Dude.
The anti-maskers.
Yeah, I've watched Public Freakout and a similar subreddit, Absolute Chaos, or
Yeah.
Instant Chaos or something like that, where just things abrupt chaos. That's it.
Abrupt chaos.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, I love Karen videos. I'm a huge fan.
Love watching people freak out.
Anti-maskers are huge now. It's great.
They're very hot right
And
now.
I imagine what you know what's so funny is when I heard about the vaccine being a real thing, I thought this is going to really open up another sub series because Karens are just going to start using the excuse of like, oh, well, I have the vaccine, I don't have to wear a mask, you know, and that's gonna, of course, that's
gonna
not a
spike
thing.
more coronavirus.
Yeah, and I love it. I think it's so funny. Karens are what makes the world turn, I think.
We love the Karens.
And then they also call
Wow.
they also call older Karens, like older Karens are considered Susans.
Oh, on TikTok,
No
there's a
way.
trend that's like, you might have been raised by Karen, but I was raised by and it's
Yeah.
like Lucy. I was raised by Lucy, and then they put a picture of like their mom.
Yeah, the
doing
older
something
ones
funny.
are Susan, and Susans are really funny too. I mean, come on.
I feel so bad
Terrifying.
for nice people named Karen.
Yeah.
I mean, do you know any?
Do they exist?
I don't think I know a
I
Karen.
know a couple. I know a couple
Really?
Karens.
Ugh.
Yeah, I think I do too. That's what I mean. I feel so bad for those people. What's the guy version? Is it Paul or
Ken.
Ken.
Ew.
Oh,
Ken?
Ken.
Anti-maskers are big. Public freakouts are so awesome.
good.
Something about like somebody having like it's like almost like a glitch in the human personality. And honestly, I think I've had those moments, but they're never like publicly. They're always like in like by myself when I'm like thinking about something so annoying and I'm like, this is so annoying. You know, like dealing with some online company or whatever.
Do you know what I mean when I say word salad?
No.
What's the definition of word salad? It's like when you just
It's like throwing
just
up
word
words.
like you're not even. It's
you're
not even real.
having real thoughts.
It's like
You're just like
gibberish, but just
associating
words.
words.
Yeah.
That's what public freakout is.
I do it all the time
Yeah.
on this podcast. So
Words I was just saying.
No, I
Got
just
'em.
something about people freaking out. It's like when you're watching it, you know that this isn't like how they really are. They're just like in this glitch moment of like seeing red, and it is so funny. You know, I mean, when
I would
of course-
argue.
I don't know.
I would argue those people are their most real in those moments.
Really?
That is
Yes, I would
that
say the
is
same thing.
Oh, really?
Their
I would say the same
entire
thing.
personality, like
Encompass. It's like
Concentrated.
Yeah, I would say the same thing. Like throughout the rest of their life, there are moments where they don't get caught on camera, but they're going throughout their days and their jobs like Karens and
I mean,
Kens.
we've all had bad moments, though, right? Could those
No,
just be?
yeah, but it's the attitude.
Yeah, you wonder about
It's
like
the
are
entitled
those,
attitude.
Oh, I had a bad moment that day, or is it like no, you just caught me in my normal activity?
I think it's
bold
both.
move.
I think it's both.
It is.
It's a bold move to be a Karen, especially in some of these instances that I'll bring to next week.
Thank you.
That,
We're really pushing next week's episode right now.
Yeah, well, make sure you tune in next. I'm just kidding. And so I think it's like a really bold move to be angry at some of this stuff. Like some of this stuff is so stupid. It's like that old adage of like, if it's not you like if it's not you, like worry about yourself. You know, like a lot of these instances where people are freaking out or Karen videos or anti-maskers. It's like people are so consumed. And I don't know who I'm more annoyed with in the anti-masker ones, the people who are videoing or the people who are like not wearing a mask. Because like obviously I'm clearly upset that they're not wearing a mask, but then I'm also like, to escalate the situation by starting to record it,
you gotta,
so bold
you gotta
too,
pop
you know?
that camera
You gotta call
on.
them out.
You gotta catch it.
Yeah.
One time I told, Jordan knows that I watch Karen videos all the time, and we were at getting food somewhere, and it was in the pandemic. It was only a couple of weeks ago. And this woman started freaking out, and I like immediately grabbed my phone, and Jordan's like, "No, don't film. What are you doing?" And I was like,
Awesome.
"I've watched hundreds of Karen freak out videos on the internet.
I'm gonna be famous.
If I get the opportunity to record one, my life is complete."
Oh, mine
okay?
is literally every single day at work. I have Karens, but
Whoa, expose them.
I don't know if I'm allowed to.
Tell me the most like most frustrating customer you've dealt with.
Yes.
And you work at a coffee place.
I mean, there's one lady who she literally gets like, she's changed her order now, thank goodness. But she only gets like a certain amount of cream, and it's literally like she's never gonna listen to this.
She's gonna find you.
No, she literally asks for a cap full of cream. So we have to take the cap off of the gallon.
Oh my gosh.
And she watches us do it.
That's me.
And put it in. And finally now she asks for her drink without cream because she probably realizes that she doesn't
She
need
probably
a
brought her cap of cream
full.
with her.
Poor thing. She brought her own cap frozen. She has an entire tray of frozen cream caps.
Wait, wouldn't that be the same as like one of those to-go little creamers?
So stupid.
Yeah, no.
No, it's a little
those
bit
have,
too much.
Those have a little more.
That
So
was
yeah,
wow.
there's
That was-
there's that.
We're gonna have to test that.
Jordan
next week.
worked at a
Next
coffee
week, so
place
much next
unnamed. She's never gonna work for again. She worked for Better Buzz.
Yeah.
And it was somebody that was like, it was the guy who he wanted almond milk, but he was like, this woman like wanted a very specific amount. Well, they can't, especially when Corona happened. They can't like, before Corona, they just like would give him the almond milk and you do it yourself. But like with Corona, you can't do that. And even doing that before Corona was probably against some health code. And so they every day he would have to sit there and they would have to go.
Yep.
And he'd like wait and he'd go stop and then go okay.
Yep. We would do that all the time.
Every single day.
Oh my gosh.
And then like it never, and Jordan's like, it never got to a point where she felt like she could just do it because the guy was so specific. And he would like, again, he got really upset the first couple times. And then it was just like, every time he's like, I want almond milk, but just charge me for it. And like, when I'm ready, I'll tell you exactly how much I want. And I'm like, that's not how coffee works.
See, that's the train of thought that it's like, there are other instances in his life where he does the same exact thing.
Yep.
Where it's like in Target or something, and he's like, I don't want this many hot dog buns. Like, I'm gonna take them out. You know?
I kind of
Like,
I kind of relate to him.
no.
Really?
I'm that
Stop.
guy. Look,
No,
think
you're
you want
not
your
that
coffee.
particular.
You're the least high maintenance
you
person.
want your coffee how you want it.
No.
and you
No,
know what?
because if you get something wrong, you're always the person who's like, no, I'll just handle it. When I get something, like if I get something that I ordered that has onions on it, I'm sending that back. When you're like, just eat it.
well,
Yeah,
that's
no,
not really
No.
no.
I'm the same way
not
as
sending
Ryan in this instance, where I'm super go with the flow on food or whatever because I'm
Yes.
like whatever, but Jordan is very specific and like sometimes there's even again she won't listen to this episode, but and there have been instances where
if you're
like
Jordan, comment below.
there's been instances where like she will get something will be wrong and I'll be like, do you want me to like I'll go back, like I'll do it right now, like no big deal, and she's like no, and then later on she'll come back and she'll be like, hey, just so you know, when I say I don't want you to go back, I really want you to go back. And I'm like,
Jordan.
you guys are similar, huh?
Kara's the same.
Oh my
So now I don't
gosh.
feel so guilty
Yeah.
for saying it on a public podcast. But I'm like, I'm sorry, what? So you expect me, even when you say, no, I'm good, to go back anyways?
Step in.
And you
By the
go,
way,
you actually want that?
she's not passively going, no, it's fine. She's literally going, no,
I
please
don't
do
want
not
that.
go back. Please
You're
do
like,
not go
"Oh,
back.
I'm going back.
And you're like, and I'm like, no, I'll go back. She's like, no, fine, it's fine. Trust me, it's fine. And she's like, let's just go. I'm like, okay. And then afterwards, she's like, just for future. And so now, whenever something's not right, I don't even leave the rest. I don't even leave the restaurant or Starbucks. I
Don't
just
do it.
go,
This
nope,
is not happening.
we're gonna fix this right now because if I take it out there, it's gonna be the battle of my life. You know. Isn't that so frustrating?
Look, here's the creamer hack. Ready?
Go ahead.
Ready for it?
Creamer hack.
Creamer
Coming to
hack.
you live from
You go to Starbucks once and you do that nonsense where you pour it just the right amount that you want the creamer in your coffee, right?
Yeah.
You take that coffee, you go directly to the Home Depot
Okay.
and compare it to the color swatches.
Okay.
All right, you find the swatch that
Oh
the color
my
is.
God.
That is the
Gosh.
You
dumbest
take
thing
them
I've
all,
ever
and then every time
heard.
you drive through, you go, "Hey,
You go, hey.
I want coffee with almond milk."
No, no. Literally,
That's a pretty good hack.
you think
my
that's
God.
you think that's so funny,
That's a
but
pretty
that
good hack.
is so close to happening when
Would you
people
just
come and they're
send
like,
somebody
I want
away?
my iced coffee to be blonde, but not dirty blonde. I want it to be like someone got their hair fake blonde.
I would turn
Let
them.
me
the
tell
F
you.
I
away.
would spit in their coffee.
Go.
No question.
You spit in their coffee? See, honestly, in my head, I've worked at Sharp since I was 18.
Okay.
I never did like the retail or coffee shop thing. And a part of me, like deep down, is like, I missed out on that. Like I never got to do like the normal job, right?
Yeah.
And then I hear stories like that, and I'm like, I am so glad I
Yeah.
never worked in retail or in coffee because
Yes.
some of the stuff that Jordan would come home to, I was like, how do you deal with that?
oh, I think retail is way worse than coffee.
That's another
People-
good
yeah.
subreddit.
Really?
Tales from retail.
Oh my
People just
gosh.
think
Tales
they are
from
the,
retail. That's a new
Yeah.
segment. We gotta call somebody in for that. Who's working
Who
retail?
works at retail right now?
I did. Feels like my first
Okay,
job.
you worked at Tilly's for like 2 weeks.
Tilly's.
I did
You
work
worked
at
at
Tilly's.
Tilly's?
Yeah.
Ooh, I love Tilly's.
Hey.
Tilly's like the place in high school, you know?
Exactly. That's why I worked there.
Well,
for
yeah.
John.
I mean, yeah.
Okay,
Right?
okay.
Yeah.
Was it for you? Was it not for you?
Tilly's?
Oh,
At the mall?
I loved
Ryan was
Tilly's.
there
Like
every
stuff
day
you
after
got,
school.
not hang out.
Okay,
there.
that's what you were insinuating. Like, that was
It's
the
the place
place
to
in high
be.
school. Like, you guys all went down to the.
I meant it was the place to get like
The
your
stuff.
clothes, like your style.
Right.
Is
It
what
was
the
like
style was.
because it was like the trendiest like surf culture, like cool
Yeah,
clothes.
right.
Like the
I never
brands.
wore cool clothes though in high school. I was.
neither.
It was
Right.
Yeah, me neither.
Yeah, no,
Oh my
no, no.
gosh, it was rough.
Same.
I went from like
cargo
jeans-
pants, cargo
Stop.
shorts.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, we're the
Right,
same
you
person.
had a
Same person.
uniform. Nice try.
Okay, when I was not in a uniform,
Okay.
I was wearing
his
cargo
style
shorts.
outside of school.
Yeah,
I
obviously,
wore cargo
I'm my
shorts.
own person out there.
Freshman and sophomore year, I was the jeans and like colored crew neck.
Cool.
Bech. It was rough.
Okay,
It was
wow.
pretty rough.
At me?
No, no. I mean,
What kind
for
of
me.
shoes? What kind of
Yeah,
shoes?
for you.
What
it
kind of
was bad.
shoes? It was like, what were those big bulky ones everyone used to wear?
Oh, the like.
Skater boy shoes.
Yeah,
Bulky
yeah, yeah. With the thick laces.
Yeah,
too.
it was like you slipped them on
Yeah,
and they
yeah,
barely
yeah, yeah.
fit all the time. Those for sure.
Something with
and
an
then
E, right?
when I got,
I have no idea.
and then junior, senior, I was cargo shorts with every single different color V-neck of like every color you could find, and I wore like Converse.
sensible. That's
it was
nice.
so rough. It was like what were they called? Reebok? No, those ones.
those.
Oh,
Whoa.
that just took you back, didn't it?
I just got whiplash. What are those
my
called?
Gosh.
Skater boy shoes.
They were
No,
it's
something
DC.
with an E.
Oh my god.
Graphic
They're
shoes.
called men's court graphic shoes
Yeah,
now.
Those also remind me of Heelys, weirdly.
Yeah.
I used to rock Heelys in elementary school.
I think they made Heelys in that
You
brand.
just took
Yeah,
me
they
on a
did.
trip with that one.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. These are all way too cool
thick-
from what I wore.
thick laces.
These are
Yeah,
all
no,
way too
definitely
cool.
not those.
You definitely
That
need to
first
put in
one
these
was-
pictures.
That first one was the
Yeah,
one.
yeah. No. This is why we need. We're gonna work on that because if you're watching, hopefully there'll be some image for you. Who knows? But yeah, and then so what was your style in high school? Take us through a small
Well,
brief little.
I did a private middle school, high school. I was wearing that
Oh,
uniform
that's
live.
right.
Yeah.
Oh my
I had
gosh.
like 4 outfits. Ready for it?
Mm.
An ugly rugby shirt. I had a polo shirt.
Okay.
Be
I had
specific
this-
about the rugby shirt.
Okay,
though.
the
Paint
rugby
scene.
shirt was white and gray
stripes.
horizontal stripes.
Okay.
Yep.
Long sleeve with the
super
collar.
Long sleeve with the white collar, like real preppy. So bad. So like yeah.
Annoying.
You
But everyone
did
was wearing
look
the
like
same
you
thing.
Were, like I will say,
Hating my
the
life.
few times I saw you in a uniform, you looked like you were out of like a Disney movie.
Yeah.
like very very cliche uniform.
I felt
school.
like I was homeless.
Oh really?
Yeah. So like yeah, I don't even know.
What was
man.
it like having a uniform?
This is a whole other episode, I think.
Oh, it is?
But
Okay.
what time are we at? No, I'll
Oh.
talk about it.
What time are we at?
We're pretty late.
Oh
Yo.
yikes!
I would love to talk about that in another episode.
Yeah, let me write that down.
Yeah,
Yep.
for sure.
Uniform life.
Because we
And then
really
just our styles.
just covered some serious ground tonight.
Yeah,
really
we
did.
honestly, and here's what I'll say. I'd like to close on like the political talk we talked about. Like it's all in the sense that like we want to be better, you know, and we want and to talk about it is healthy. And I think, you know, I hope nothing that we said and this was offensive to you at all. I
Yeah.
think we were pretty neutral in all of it. And but yeah, it just sucks. It's a dark day in America, and it's not fair to the people involved and to really to anybody of our people that watch regularly to not address it because it was just awful, and we want to be better.
But it's exactly what you're saying. Like, I don't consider myself the political, like, end all, say all. So, yeah, if you've made it this far and you have differing views, like, thank you for doing that. And, you know, like, I just hope that we can all continue to move in that direction of, like, learning and growing together. Because that's going to be the key to, like, this whole nonsense.
And it was uncomfortable, but we made it through. We had a serious. We've had serious conversations on this podcast, but this was by far the most serious, and we're still alive. So
I'll tell you what, I am gonna block you though.
yeah. Well, actually, you know what's so funny is I was going through the old Mirror Effect Instagram page. Guess who followed me 2 weeks ago? The Mirror Effect's been around for almost 3 years.
Oh,
It was definitely Ryan.
I unfollowed you. No, I'm just playing. Yeah.
No, I'm just kidding. I saw that and it made me laugh. I was gonna bring it up and then it never really fit. Now I'm
Well,
just
look
like,
here, and now you brought it up.
And now
Block
I
him.
got it.
Drag Ryan in
yeah.
the comment section.
I'm just gonna go ahead and
unsubscribe. I'm kidding. No, but yeah, it was just funny. But yeah, I think we had a great time today. And like I said,
Yes.
I hope that our serious conversation, aside from our normal fun-loving show, didn't turn you off to the show entirely. So
You know, it's healthy. We gotta hash it out and freaking.
And we're not experts.
No, oh my
Yeah,
gosh,
you cannot hold any of
That's
this
the
against
headline
us.
here. Is what the not experts.
We're learning.
that's the title.
That's the title.
Okay.
Great. Okay.
Yeah. Well, good to see you guys.
Can't wait to talk
And,
about
thanks.
my uniforms next week.
Yeah. Oh, also a small update before we close. Our last episode we talked about Peacock.
Yes.
And how I don't have access
Cancel
to Peacock.
her.
Whatever.
Something exciting happened.
And one of our dedicated followers, Kat Pinning, reached out to me, and she's giving me access to her Peacock,
Yes.
which is a weird
So
statement.
you're gonna
What the
use
heck?
Peacock? Wow. Also, you exposed yourself on the podcast to using someone else's login.
Oh yeah, I'm sure
be
they're
fair,
gonna
you
come
s-
after me.
Yeah,
okay?
last week you
You're
said
so
you were going to do that, so it's fine.
Yeah, they're really. I'm sure NBC is really hurting, right? Okay, so that's a little update. Everything's resolved. Everything's fine now. And also,
Can't wait to watch the
Hippo's Milk will be. Well, maybe we'll have some of that.
Oh, yeah, next week, I think.
I'm kidding. I
A
really think
lot
it's
is
bad for
happening
you.
next week.
I think
so
it's-
much is happening
Yeah,
next week.
buckle up for next week.
Oh,
'cause
jeez.
Karen's
I
galore.
still have whiplash from those shoes.